I'm going to just ask everyone to mute their microphones and we're going to get started here. So I want to, first of all, introduce myself. My name is Melany. This podcast was created in the sole purpose of becoming literally a digital eagle. We are in a digital era. Things have been shifting and changing at rapid light speed, and we're going full throttle into the future. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to create an amazing podcast series that happens every week like clockwork on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have new guests coming on every single week, and the community supports everyone. So thank you to everyone that comes on every single week and is a loyal fan of this whole idea and concept, which is a new way world of business. It's a collaborative model. I came up with it last year, and during, of course, during the pandemic, I was inspired. I knew I had to take my business to a new level and make it definitely more of a digital format. For folks that know me, you know that I've put on beautiful events in Vancouver for the last 10 years. I love nothing more than bringing people together for the greater good. And my whole premise is people, planet, prosperity. It used to be people, planet, prosper, and then it was people, planet, profit. But people, planet, prosperity is, I believe that when there's a core group of people that are in full alignment with each other, magical and beautiful things can happen. And I've experienced this many times over in my life. I'm super blessed to be here with all of you tonight, and thank you again for your beautiful energy coming onto this call, exploring, learning, and being part of this amazing journey that we're all on. I was inspired by the Eagles, number one, because they always are a bird of strength. Number two, because they never falter in who they are as a creation. They're always spreading their wings and flying and go straight to the top. And if they're pecked at by a crow, they keep flying higher. They are definitely powerful creatures, and I'm very inspired by them. So they've helped me find my own inner strength to create something so amazing like this, so that people like you can come together each and every week and support one another in this walk of life. And when I feel that when a community that you have supports you and you're walking with a core group of people that really do truly believe in your mission and your purpose and your why, magical things can happen. So we truly are grateful that you've come on every single week, and of course bringing new guests, which is always a blessing. So we always say every brand does tell a story. So I always say, let's create yours today. What's your story and what's your why? We want to hear about your why, and we want to hear about your story, and we're going to hear some amazing people's stories tonight on this call. We are a group of amazing entrepreneurs that support this community by truly giving back. Did you know that it's as easy as this? This number here, the 10K times the 50 people, this formula can change. But the premise of this formula is a magic formula, because if you have money and the right people, anything is possible in this world. And I've experienced this with my own eyes. I am somebody who's walking this mountain. I'm climbing up to the top, and I'm reaching out my hand, and I'm helping others get to the top too, because true leadership is when you help others and you give back consistently, and you never falter, and you never falter in who you are and your integrity. You stand up as a leader in your core belief system and what you believe in as your values, and you never falter. And the right people will find you, and together we can literally move mountains. I want to just do a quick announcement tonight. So Digital Eagle is a digital marketing agency, and we are currently accepting Bitcoin and Ethereum for our marketing services. So that's one thing that does set us apart from other marketing agencies, because we are definitely in an era where digital currency has been definitely growing at a very fast pace. It's so fast, in fact, that sometimes I can't even keep up with all the changes that are happening. Bitcoin's up, Bitcoin's down. Ethereum's on the rise, Ethereum's down. And there's 2,000 other coins that are trying to compete with these two top coins. It's like Pepsi and Cola, and then having 30 different sodas competing with those two. So it's an exciting time to definitely be on this planet. I want to tell you, of course, that we are following different industries, and the blockchain industry is definitely a new space that everyone should be tapped into and following, because it truly is shaping our future, whether we like to believe it or not. I recently was in touch with an energy company called New Energy, and Elena is a friend of mine, and he had told me that his company had raised 200 million US dollars for this concept. It's actually BC Hydro, but on a blockchain with sustainable energy. So folks that know me, they know that I'm all about supporting any kind of project that is truly helping the planet and also helping people, because if we help the people, we help the mindset, and then we're part of the shift and we're part of the change, and we're experiencing that now because the time is always now. So we're a group of mastermind people that we are conscious in our thoughts, and we are a group of people that think the same. We have the same belief system, and we come together every single week to form an alliance, and also to form very strategic partnerships, which we have experienced just by being on these calls for the last 30 days since this podcast started. So it's gone by fast, but it's been an amazing journey so far. So I just want to tell you that every single week our topics will change to keep things fresh and exciting. So we talk about health and wellness, personal growth and development, the environment, digital currency, sustainable real estate, charity, and many, many other topics that keep popping up every single week. And the topics may change, but the community stays the same always. So we're coming together. We're a group of really big thought leaders, and we're all about big concepts and amazing experts. This is what you can expect from this platform. And we also have an online channel. So everything that's being recorded here is also being put out to a podcast that has now 41, as of today, viewers and subscribers. So there's going to be 41 subscribers to this channel that will see this podcast tonight when I post it. And those numbers are continuing to grow week to week. So that's super exciting. And every week, new faces and friends come on. So this is a success platform. What I mean by that is maybe, just maybe, there's one person here that's going to hear your story tonight and your message. That one person can change your life. All it takes is one person to truly believe in you as a soul, and to also give you the same energy. You are exactly who you surround yourself with in life. So always choose people that bring out the best in you, that will have your back. This is the type of community that I wanted to create. I wanted to create a community that brings together leaders that are loyal, that are local, that are helping one another, and sometimes that are even global, that are truly willing to roll up their sleeves and help with whatever's needed. This is the power of change, and changing in a fast pace, but also a collaborative business model. I came up with this concept because if you think of us as stars in the galaxy, you'll know that every single star in the galaxy can shine bright. There's some stars that shine brighter than others, and there's some stars that just need to connect with other stars, and then wow, magic happens. I am a master connector. I have been a marketer and also a networker for over 15 to 20 years of my life. Nothing brings me greater joy than connecting the right person to the right project and watching the magic unfold and see these projects come to fruition. We are a marketing agency for sure, a creative digital marketing agency, but we're so much more than that. We actually go above and beyond for our clients, and we bring you whatever it is that you may be needing. If you want to star on the podcast, you can always have a spot to share. If you want to come here to look for a joint venture partner for your business, you've come to the right spot. The amazing thing about this particular webinar series is that we've actually vetted every single single person that comes into our community to make sure that we're bringing quality collaborators. So you're in great hands, and it just gets better from here. So every brand does truly still tell a story. What does your current brand tell you and your clients about who you are and what you're trying to create in this world? As you can see, branding is everything in this world, and it's all about the design, the advertising, the strategy, the identity, the logo, the marketing. And the more times people see your brand and the messaging, the more times it will ring true, and eventually it will sink in. So we want to create that brand image for you, and we want you to come on and experience this week to week. And you know what? Some weeks we'll have 5 people on, some weeks we'll have 50 people on. It's about quality versus quantity, which took me a long time to actually really get in tune with this. It's more about the people that are actually truly making a difference in this world than just people that are just about their own self-serving interests, because we want to definitely always remain a conscious community that's truly about giving back. So yes, you will develop some amazing partnerships as time goes on, and we're all about helping you with your brand online. And we're more than just a company. We're someone that can help. We're a company that can help you with your pitch decks, your webinars, your logos, your slogans, your slogans, your taglines, your PowerPoint presentations, your marketing materials, and helping you to connect with the right joint venture partners that see your dream, see your vision, and really want to help see you succeed at the game of life. So this is always a question that I love to ask people, because somebody asked me this once: who are you? Who were you? And who will you become? Oprah Winfrey always talks about who you are. She always says that she never lost touch with who she was as a soul. She just kept going to the next best opportunity, next best opportunity. And she said she would hear messages and she would see signs that she was on the right path. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that this has major potential to be something really big. And right now, because we have the YouTube channel, any message that you share tonight will be going out to 41 people and counting. So they will get a recording of tonight's podcast. But even better is that you can actually build one-on-one relationships with these people too, no matter where they are. Have a coffee over Zoom. But think about it this way: we're actually constantly being bombarded by many different distractions in life. And it's really about shutting out the media and what's really actually going on right now in the world, and focusing really on what it is that you want to create for the world. So you're literally starring in your own movie, and you are your own action hero. This is how I feel. And so write your best script. And I always say, to be a star, you must shine your own light, follow your own path, and don't worry about the darkness, for that is when the stars shine brightest. And I also want to say that 2 people that have really inspired me in my life are Napoleon Hill. I read this book faithfully at least once a week. I turn it into a chapter. I'm also a student and a graduate of the Bob Proctor program, Thinking into Results. You may know Bob Proctor from the movie The Secret, but Bob Proctor is all about manifesting, thinking big. He teaches that we're all God's form of highest creation. And he also teaches that we're actually fully abundant, and actually every single one of us is born rich. So he's all about helping to program the subconscious mind. There's somebody actually on this call tonight that actually helped me a lot with helping me to reprogram my subconscious mind, because as we go through life, a lot of things happen to us, and it's how we literally get back up and get ready for whatever's supposed to be in our lives, whatever's coming next. And he's got a really great background with lots of experience in this world, and also has been studying not only health and wellness, but also, I would say, quantum physics to a certain degree, and also health and wellness, and also how nature works, how this world truly works, and learning about the insights that the planet has been sharing with us for many times, but a lot of people are not awake and they don't see this stuff. He's really helped me to tap into a new energy within myself. And even within a short period of time of working with him, I found that I was able to definitely not only create a new story for my life, but make new and magical things happen. So I'm super grateful. What I'd like to do is I'd like to stop my share and introduce Patrice. And Patrice is basically someone that I really care for. He's living in beautiful Vancouver Island, and he's going to share a little bit about his background, and he's going to tell us about some new projects that we're involved in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to also welcome a wonderful guest who's here tonight. Sherry White is joining us. She has a fabulous real estate project, which I think that all of us can help support her with what she wants to create. And it's definitely a social impact project, and also helping to truly give back and help with some of the problems that Vancouver especially is facing with Vancouverites living somewhere that is affordable and cost effective. So she's really involved in this project that is helping people to be able to have affordable real estate. And I know that's something that's really near and dear to Patrice's heart. So it's interesting because I believe that God always, and I don't want to get overly spiritual, but I think God always does align the right people at the right time. And the people that are supposed to be here with us tonight are just here, and they're listening, and they're chiming in, and they're really conscious, and they're really getting in tune with what we have to say. So Patrice, without further ado, I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to ask you to just say a few words about your journey and how we got connected, and of course what brought you here, and then we're going to introduce Sherry and let her share her story. And I noticed that there's some more people logging in, so we should get up to at least 15-20 people tonight. I know some people are a little bit late logging on, so I'm going to stop my share. And I'm going to ask Patrice to go ahead, and I'm going to make you the host, actually.
Actually, you don't need to make me the host, Melany. You can keep the host. I'm not going to be presenting any slides tonight.
Okay, fair
Excellent.
enough. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's all good. So thank you very much for the beautiful intro, Melany. And
of course.
this presentation and these kind of meetings would not happen if it wasn't for your tremendous efforts, and we're all very grateful for that. My background is in the print industry. I've been in the print industry since I was about 15 years old, which is about over 35 years now. I got a chance to meet Melany last year at an event, and we became very close with a lot of understanding and mutual interests, and we kept in contact, and we're starting to build a network that will bring like-minded people together for a greater purpose for humanity moving forward. I mean, with this year, we kind of all have to self-reflect, and we know that there's a better future for all of us, and we need to take care of as many people as we can, not just ourselves, with the capacities that we have. So my background's in the printing industry. It's been my bread and butter for many years. I've worked with many industry leaders and big corporations like Kodak, Xerox, Fuji, and so on as a beta tester for a lot of their softwares and to help develop. I've also worked with printed security forms, algorithms, and void pentagrams for some of the greatest security requirements required for driver's license printing, dollars, money, and identification over the years. So I've, in the last few years, ventured on my own, started my own company, and I craftedly and carefully named it Creative Integrity to really embody my vision of the future. So it's to be a creative new world, and also to do it with integrity so that we can achieve a much better world for ourselves. I make sure that my customers are well satisfied with the work that they receive. And also in all my spare time, I research different avenues on how we can make this a better world. As Melody mentioned, it has been in health and nutrition. That came from our history. 16 years ago, my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. She was given less than 50% chance of lasting more than 2 years. The first shot of chemo stopped her heart in front of me. So it left us with some very, very difficult decisions to make, which led me down the path of learning to understand what makes our bodies tick, what is a creator of disease in the body. And that has been a wonderful, wonderful adventure. And in that process, you tend to reinvent yourself, and you start to look at what the grassroots movements are around the world to bring prosperity, health, and a balance with nature. And that led me right down to Cobb homes, power generation, growing food, growing products, and at the same time leveraging all these technologies to create an environment. This is the great hope here that we're all trying to connect with Melany, Caleb, and a few other like-minded people, is to create a farm atmosphere that creates wonderful products, generates its own electricity, and actually be net positive on energy, and also produce incredible, rich, nutrient-dense products that can be sold across the country, that would make the property profitable, but also allow for innovation to take place, like 3D printed dwellings, not just dwellings, but an entire infrastructure 3D printed. This is one of my passions as far as technology goes. Same with Caleb here. We both brainstorm quite a bit on these kind of avenues. There's power generation that Caleb and I are very much involved in. His company is called Greenworks Power Solution, and he has designed water turbines and turbine systems that can be also retrofitted for windmill for power generation. My background is in permaculture as well, and health and nutrition, in the sense that it's very important to grow crops now that will be in harmony with the ecosystem of nature. And to quickly finish off is that we are approximately only 10% human. The rest of us is bacteria, fungus, and viruses. And if that's the case, then we really need to nurture the ecosystem inside of us. And that starts with the food that we grow. It needs to be nurtured like nature so that it can be its most optimal nutrition for our bodies. Meeting Melany and having discussions in the last little while has led us to attempt to create some sites that will do this. So much so, in fact, that we're looking forward to having tiny homes or better on the property and be able to offer stewardship programs for people to work and learn along the way, so that this could be a test facility and then template out and be able to be escalated to multiple different locations. At the same time, building a workforce that will meet the needs. For example, if you have a quarter section of land, there could be multiple dwellings on that, taking care of the land, and each person has different skill sets. One could be a welder, one could be a plumber, and the other one could be a farmer. All cross-training in order to build a very broad, self-reliant community system in multiple locations. This does not have to be just Canada. This can be made across the world. There's enough grassroots technology out there to take us to that level. And the wonderful thing is it does not need to be expensive. And this is where resourcefulness comes in. And this is what this team is for, is to bring that to its capacity. But unfortunately, you need the right connections, the right people to make this happen. You got the brains? Then we need the team to help us manage this and move it forward. Melany, I think I'm done here. Is there a person you want me to introduce? Sherry, I'll let it back to you, actually.
Thank you so much, Patrice, and also for your support with this podcast and this webinar series, and also for the guests that you bring on every week. And also, thank you again to everyone else that's here. I know Raymond's on, Robert's on. Robert's brought David on. I've brought Sherry on this week. Wendy's also on here. She's going to be speaking at the social part in just about 30 minutes. But yes, I feel very blessed because we're in an area, in a time in our life where we are definitely having to pivot and shift ourselves in many different ways. I created this because I want to see positive world change. I want to work with projects that are actually directly, in fact, impacting the environment, so that we can live a better quality life, and so that we can live to be 120 if we so choose, and so that our children and our grandchildren are going to be sustainable. And the power of connection is beautiful, and I am definitely connected to a higher power. I have been since actually the age of about 3 or 4. And I won't talk about that tonight because I don't want to talk about spirituality or religion on the call, but I'm happy to go into this another time one-on-one. I just want to say that I do believe that there is always a God, higher power, however you perceive this to be, is always looking out for us. And it was amazing that I was on LinkedIn about less than a month ago that I had met Sherry, and she had asked me if I was able to help her with her project. I don't know how we ended up talking. She knows the story probably better than I do. I was probably telling her about digital marketing, maybe even talking to her to come onto a webinar like this. And I said that I had added a funding component to this podcast and this creative marketing agency, which is helping people get connected to funding for their projects. And then we just started talking, and I connected her to some people, and I fell in love with Sherry's project. And I really believe that this community here can help support what she's doing. And she's in East Vancouver, living and working in East Vancouver. And I don't want to tell her story for her, but I want to welcome you, Sherry, to this beautiful community of people that have amazing hearts, wonderful energy, excuse me, and that will bring you connections and support you holistically for what you're trying to accomplish here. And I hope that you resonate and you feel good about being here tonight. And then what we'll do is, when you're finished speaking, what we'll do is we'll go into a social time. We'll give everyone a chance to collaborate, network, come together, be together, and share a little bit about who they are. So thank you so much again for joining us. It's magical.
Thank you so much, Melany. It's been great to know you, and I can't thank you enough for the impact that you've made in my life and just your willingness to help people. It's truly inspiring, and really do respect the work that you put in to build these really amazing relationships. And so just thank you so much for believing in my project and believing in me enough to trust me with other people. That's a huge blessing. So thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited to be on the call tonight to share with people around my story and how I ended up to be where I am today. I actually lived in the downtown east side of Vancouver. My husband and I have raised our 4 now teenage children. We've been here for 18 years, and we moved into the neighborhood to quote unquote love our neighbor. We wanted to make an impact, but what we discovered very quickly is that we were the ones that were being impacted more than what we thought we could impact in the neighborhood. So that was a huge learning curve for us. We're also all about community. And so we purchased a home, a large character home in the downtown east side, and we invite and we share our home there's 6 of us. This is my husband and my 4 kids. And then we live in a 9-bedroom house, and there's 12 people that we share life with. So we share the cooking responsibilities, and we share going to baseball games together, and we share prayer times and hard times and good times. And we're like a family in the downtown east side. And we also open up our table for our neighbors to come and join us for meals. COVID's put a bit of a damper on that. It's been really tough, particularly for my neighbors that are struggling. I think COVID for the downtown east side, it wasn't about COVID itself, but the byproducts of closing down the services and the community that so many people, so many of my neighbors rely on. And that was the really difficult part. And so I came and lived here. I moved into the neighborhood about 18 years ago. And what I discovered is I built relationships with people that were homeless or struggling in addictions or all of those things, was that when they wanted to move into a different direction in the sense of, maybe this isn't serving me, and I do believe that there might be something better, we wanted to be there to help people move in a direction they wanted to. We were never ever forced anything. We just wanted to be here and be present. And so what I noticed was a lot of people, when they started to go to AA, was they were able to reconnect with family. They were able to get a job, but the housing piece was what was so difficult for them. And so they felt, especially like in 2016, when the market was really hot, to find a home with so much competition was really difficult. And so that inspired me to move into real estate and start to purchase homes. And I started with nothing. I had no money. And I started fixing and flipping homes, and I started to make some money. In the profit that I made from my fixing and flipping homes, I was able to start purchasing homes for people that were changing their lives, which was truly inspiring to me. And then I kind of got to a point of success in this area, and I thought to myself, Sri, what is it that you really want to do? And I'm super passionate about creating positive communities And so I thought to myself, if I can do this on a small scale, what if I can do this on a big scale? And I think one of the most powerful questions we can ask ourselves is, what if? Because I think when we start to ask what if, that's when we start to get visions and ideas, and change can start from there. And so I started to ask, like, what if I were to build multifamily developments for families in the downtown east side? What kind of impact would that have for my neighbors? And I started to realize, as I started to do research, that there are 6 main streams of ways to end poverty, and affordable housing is only one of them. And so I went into commercial real estate, and there was because I've been here for 18 years, I know a lot of people in my neighborhood, and my neighborhood's really, really important to me. And so there was a piece of land that went on sale, but just quietly, it was off market. And I got really, really interested, and I asked the owners if we could purchase it. And then I started to think, well, if I purchase this one, what if I purchase the next one? And so I started creating mass assemblies. And then I started to get a really big picture. What if we revitalize the entire downtown east side with not just affordable housing, but we fix up the park. We put in a new arts center for the already existing St. James Music Academy for kids. What if we have a new theater place? And so we really just started to dream, and we started to think really big. And so that's really exciting. And I also got trained in development. So I am a developer. I spent a year following a developer around. So I know actually how to put a development together, and I have a very strong development team as experts in each one of their experts in what they do. So my architect's an expert, my engineer's an expert. They're all experts. And so I have a really strong development team of several years. And then I have a great board of directors, and I am a for-profit company, but I have a nonprofit arm as well. And so we seem to have 2 out of 3 pieces that make a strong development, but funding is challenging for sure. Out of the 10 properties that we're looking to develop in the downtown east side, we have 2 that have really taken off, 2 projects. One is called the Galleria, and it's on Powell Street, and we have 50% of that land under contract right now. And the other one is called the Sanctuary, and it's a whole block project, and it's on the 300 block of Hastings. And we have, I just think my agent just went and reached out to another piece of property. So we have 3 under contract out of the 11 pieces of the mass assembly, and we're just about to get our 4th ones. So that's really, really exciting to see how all these off-market properties are really starting to take interest. And there is something about timing for sure. There's this one piece of property that wasn't interested a couple months ago, but now they're coming forth and saying, yes, we're ready to sell. So that's really exciting. So we are all about community. We're all about people wanting to join us in this journey. You can join us in just saying, hey, you know what, this sounds exciting. I'd love to be a part of this community. Can you just send me your updates, Cherie? We are looking for deposits for 2 of the pieces of property for $100,000 each. They're supposed to go in tomorrow. I did ask for an extension today, but if there's anyone that you know that might be interested in helping out in the way of deposits, which is a very safe investment because it doesn't get spent, it just sits in my lawyer's account. Please let me know. I'd love you to be a part of this journey in a financial way. And if you just know of some connects like Melany and said, hey, you know what, I think this is somebody that might be able to help, that would be wonderful as well. And Steadfast Developments is all about giving back as well. So if there's something in your company that we can help out, I volunteer on several different networks, and different foundations. And always about partnering and always wanting to help others as well. So if there's their need in your company, please tell me how I can help. I'll be there as well. So that's a snippet of Cherie White and Steadfast Developments.
Thank you so much, Cherie. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to be posting this onto LinkedIn, because I have a lot of really good relationships on LinkedIn. This video will be edited so that it can go, it'll be part of the YouTube channel, which is everyone's YouTube channel. And so it's going to be going out to 41 people. So somebody will be hearing this message, and I'm sure some magic will take place. There'll be a call or something will happen, or maybe somebody that's on the call tonight can assist you. But I think it's very bold and it's beautiful and it's heartfelt, and even what you're doing and taking action and just listening to your story is it's very beautiful, and it inspires me, because I believe that if we are all leaders, which I think everyone on this call is definitely a leader in a certain arena or space, and if everybody knows that they're mastering their lane and you're mastering this lane, they'll know that you're the master of that lane. And how this kind of community works is it's collaborative, and the mentality of it is that every single person on here will know what you're doing, so they'll automatically want to support you. So it's really interesting how this happens and how it happens so quickly. And because I've been doing this for a long period of time and many years of my life, and also because I am somebody who always will give back. Actually, somebody asked me today at 1:15. I was in West Vancouver with one of my business mentors, and we had ran into somebody that him and I had been trying to have lunch with for 6 months. He's an investor. He's a former Oilers player, hockey. He's a former professional hockey player. And he was sitting right there. He was like right in our path. And he said, "Melany, I've been trying to connect with that guy for how long?" And I'm like, "I know." And we literally were together, and we walk, and he's just right there. Give him my business card. And he's like, because we wanted to have lunch with him. And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'd really like to have lunch with you guys sometime." And we're like, "Okay." And it was crazy, because this is what he wanted for such a long time. And there he was in my path. And I don't know how this happens, but there's something magical that happens when people are bringing each other together for the greater good. And I bet you anything, there's someone on this call right now that's heard your story and that's inspired, and that is definitely going to be able to help. I know it just takes one or two people to create this positive change. And this is why it is that I do what I do, because I know that this works. I've seen it and I felt it. And, you know, I'm involved with a couple of different projects, one with hemp. And because if somebody gave me a magic wand, I would literally say, "Okay, I'm going to change everything plastic to hemp. We're going to make it biodegradable movement." And, you know, that's hemp, something near and dear to my heart, because you can have a hemp plant that can be planted, and within 90 days, you've got this beautiful plant that can bring so much green and abundance and so many things to the world, including hemp homes and all of these other things. So we're part of this massive movement together. And I think as it grows, and last week we actually had triple the number of people on as we do tonight, but it's not always about quantity, it's about quality of people. So without further ado, if anyone here was touched by Cherie's story and wanted to make a comment or have something to say, either raise your hand, raise your virtual hand, or even type in the chat box. It looks like Caleb wants to chime in. So Caleb, please go ahead. And then if anyone else would like to go after Caleb as well, that's please let us know. Thank you so much.
Well, what's amazing is what we're actually doing, like with all of us, we're looking at different forms of sustainability, from food sustainability to energy sustainability to water sustainability. And I think all of us have realized that the biggest and the most difficult thing is having as little impact, environmental footprint as possible. And a lot of people usually think things have to be big to do big things. And in life, you can do a lot of things with very little things. And so one voice can make a big impact. And it's amazing how a lot of people think it takes a lot of people to do something, and it doesn't. It takes a very small voice And if you look in history, usually it's one or two or three voices, and that creates a cascade. And so it's amazing what just a small number of people that are dedicated can do.
Absolutely, Caleb, and thank you so much for sharing. Sherry, did you have any comments on that? I know Wendy's looking forward to saying a few words to you. She's somebody who's involved in some environmental projects and also is extremely well connected in Vancouver.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I know the power of a mosquito and how it can influence and impact people. So I completely agree with you, Caleb. The one thing I forgot to mention is that we too have the same motto of people, planet, prosperity. So Steadfast Developments is very much interested in only building with mass timber, which is the latest technology in the construction field, but it's just it's wood, and we don't want developers are responsible for 40% of the emissions that are put into the air through concrete. And Steadfast Development, as an environmental company, will not build with concrete. It has to be an environmental building. We're also looking at all the energy aspects in order to make our buildings that most energy efficient possible. So Patrice, I loved what you were talking about, windmills, and I'm talking about solar panels and just alternate ways that we can change the way that multifamily developments are created in this day and age where we have so much ability to do more environmental impacts for our future generations.
Sherry, I would love to be able to show you a presentation I'm working on. It'll be ready probably in a week from now. It sounds like you are open to new technologies and new ways of doing things. And really, we can't solve the world's problems with the thinking that created the problems in the first place. So it's important to look in other areas. Now, I would love to have you on there and be able to present this kind of stuff for you, because it could be something that you've already been researching but really haven't found the right solution yet. And yeah, individual homes should be completely autonomous. You know what I mean? It should be energy independent, filter its own water if possible. There's a lot of ways to be able to do that. Just there's so many regulations. And it's really because it's not really about safety anymore. It's really about lining pockets, and it needs to be a new way of thinking to do things. So I appreciate that you're on here. I love your mission. I'd like to hear more, actually. If you could maybe paste some links in the chat, that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Is it right if I add something?
Of course, yeah. And then we'll go to Wendy, because I know she had her hand up, and then Robert put his hand up after Wendy.
I just want to add the part about concrete, is that a lot of people have a preconception of concrete, and it can be an amazing material, especially when fluffed. But you can actually create pathways in concrete, which allows you to vent it, and you can actually bubble it through algae. So you run it through a carbon, and you can actually take that CO2, convert it to oxygen. You'll have a byproduct of algae oil, which can be used for like a reusable diesel or lubricants. You can use that directly. You create biochar. It's actually carbon negative. And so there are many things with many materials. And the biggest one is keeping ones open to different concepts.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think it's all absolutely wonderful. And I know that all of us have at least a few people in our network that will be able to definitely make a difference with all of these different projects. And I know I personally do. I actually met with somebody 2 days ago who's working on a show with celebrities it's a reality TV show called The Compassion Movement. His name is Shane, and he was even saying, Melanie, if you can get some things together on paper and you know, we'll sit down and have lunch. I want to go over some of these things with you. So there's a lot of people that do want to make a difference, but if they don't know what we're doing, then it's going to be very hard for us to reach out to them unless we know who they are. So this is another reason why I've created this movement and this empowerment movement on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. And I've always been a little bit of a fire starter, and now I'm using my heart in the right place. So it's feeling great to have these holistic connections. What I always do is I connect everyone through email after the call. I have an extensive database, and what I will also do is reach out to me if there's somebody's phone number that you want, or feel free, of course, to put into the group chat. And I know Wendy had her hand up. So Wendy, did you want to go ahead, and then we'll move into, then we'll go back to Sherry, and then we'll move into Robert, and of course, keep
Sure.
the flowing.
So I'm just picking my daughter up from the ferry here, and she's actually just getting in the car now. So there might be a little bit of commotion. And because I was driving and I'm near the mountains, I got popped off the call and I had to come back on. But Sherry, I got cut off right when you were saying something that really intrigued me. And if you don't mind, you started to say that there was a few points to the reason that either keep people in poverty or something around that, and I missed that, and I was really curious to hear what the rest of that was. Do you know what I'm talking about? Could you just tell me those few things? You don't have to go into a long thing, but I'm just curious what they are, if you know what I mean.
That was my question too. The 6 ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right,
for sure. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've done a lot of research on successful revitalization projects and the leaders and all over North America and in Europe. And what I discovered is out of these 12 different stories and what I've read is that they seem to all have the same 6. Like there's much difference. I mean, obviously you do a revitalization project in the Bronx, it's going to be different than in the east side of London, England. But the things that there's 6 things that I discovered, and the 6 things in order to help end poverty is affordable housing, and they suggest it's mixed, not like 100% just low income, but it's a mixed model of affordable housing. Social enterprise. The third one is education. The other one is health and wellness, parks and recreation, and the arts. And when you have and intentional community development. So you're saying, I want to make a difference in this community. And when you put all of those things together and you have access to all of those things, people start to move out of poverty. One of the other key things that we know that will help people move out of poverty is home ownership. So Steadfast Developments is looking at a rent to own program for families. So there's something we have created called Philinvestors. So it's a mix between philanthropy and investing, where a philanthropist comes in and puts down the down payment for a family that could pay the regular rent, but that actually becomes their mortgage payment, and eventually they get to own their own home after 25 years or something like that. So it's a program we're putting together. We're talking to other social impact or social justice developers that have gone before me, and we're kind of come up with ideas and how through those programs and those 6 ways in which we can change a neighborhood, how we can totally flip the downtown east side upside down in a good way. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for reiterating that. I really appreciate it. Because when you first said that sentence, I was kind of like, had my own ideas go off, like what they might be or where they were. So I was curious to see, as you said them, if they were kind of like where my thoughts might be. And some of them definitely were there for sure. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
That's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to ask.
That's great. Thank you so much, Wendy. So I know that Robert also wants to say a few words, but I just wanted to say that somebody once said, "What's your why?" to me. And I said, I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. So it doesn't matter how wealthy I become in this life, I will always dedicate my time to doing this. This is something that I love nothing more. And I've been doing this webinar series for over a year now. Actually, it started March the 3rd, 2020, to be exact. I birthed the idea. I knew I wanted to have a webinar series. Now it's become a YouTube channel, which is a podcast. And new people come on every single week. In fact, next week, Robert and I will be interviewing somebody that has spoke on TED Talks and has over 140,000 followers. And he won't be on the show, I don't think, next week, but he will be coming on in a few weeks' time. But really how these kinds of movements grow is by bringing people on each week, even one friend, two friends, three friends, because different people will be speaking each week, but as different people speak each week, the community grows. Can you imagine how much could happen if we leveraged each other's networks? Just for 1 second, like we did the formula. The formula was incredible because even that formula alone could definitely fund Sherry's project. It was back to that magic number that if you have 50 people seems to be a magic number for change, that are willing to put money in to a project, it can just happen like that. Like you don't know when it's gonna happen, when it's gonna be your magic day. You don't know when it's gonna be your time, but I do believe that there's somebody else knows when it's your time, and it's divine time. So I think it's divine time that we're all here. I think this is definitely a new world order with the way that the world has been shifting lately. And it's in my blood to be an advocate for positive change and to step into my leadership role as a woman and to truly give back to help others, but also to encourage people to walk in their own power. Whatever your wow is, whatever your why is, whoever it is that you were created to be, don't be afraid to let that shine. So this is exactly why I created this podcast. And it's inspirational. And, you know, there is somebody also on this call that I think wanted to say a few words to Sherry, Robert. And Robert's had a lot of experience in the real estate space, plus also education space, plus also financial space. And you never know who he could maybe connect you to, or, you know, why specifically we're all on this call together. Please, if you guys have something to say to, name in the chat group or hand up, and that's how we know that you're wanting to engage. And then Robert, without further ado, I will just say a few words with how I met Robert. I met Robert 20 years ago, not to age myself, but I met him at a game called Cash Flow, Robert Kiyosaki. And I was inspired by Robert because he was young. And when I went up to him and asked him what he did, he said, "Oh, I'm retired." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "From what?" And he goes, "Well, I just have been involved in trading and also learning everything I could about real estate, about finances, about the stock market, about all the different things that are happening in our society that no one ever tells us because we're not taught this stuff in school. And I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I've created all this real estate, and he's like, "What's holding you back?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But the day that I met Robert, definitely a light fire was lit inside my belly. And I worked 2 jobs from the age of 13 to 23. My first professional job was working at a university for a dean of business. After I worked 2 jobs to put myself through university so I could get that job at the university, and then only go to another 4 years of university for something that I didn't even think I would go to university for. And I had met Robert at this cash flow game, and he said to me, "Don't hold back, go after it. If you never go after it, you'll never get it." And I remember buying a condo for my mom. I was 23 years old. I saved up so much money because I didn't want to see my mom not have a beautiful place to live. And like, I wanted her to be eating her caviar and her crackers. And she was British, right? I loved my mom to bits. And I can show you a picture of her. She was absolutely stunning, beautiful person. But on any given Sunday, my mom would have 16 kids on her floor, feeding them and actually reading them the Bible and making sure they're not doing drugs and teaching them things and trying to show them a better way. And I'm like, Mom, they just stole all your money and your jewelry. And she's like, oh, I don't care. It's only material things. I'm still gonna love them anyways. And I'm like, wow, like that's the type of person that raised me. So when I met Robert and he told me, Melanie, you can easily go buy a house right now. And I'm like, really? And he goes, just go do it for God's sakes. And I had made $36,000 commission in one of my technical sales jobs. I was 30, which is just over 10 years ago. Won't tell you, give away my age, but yeah, he just said, just go do it. So I went, made an offer on this house and I ended up getting it. I got the show home. It was because of his teachings, but he also taught me a lot of tricks of the trade. Every single investment opportunity that I've ever looked at, I've always run it past Robert, and he's been right every single time. And it's tough love, because even though I had put in 10 to 20 to 30,000 into some of these investments, he called it and he was right. So not only, I don't even want to call him anything to do with crypto, because he's so much more than digital currency, but he does know that market like the back of his hand as well. He's a beautiful educator of many different topics. So we talk about the education factor of one of your pillars to removing poverty. He's definitely created these pillars, and he is the master of education. And I think that he'll be able to help you and put some contacts your way too. And Robert, did you want to go ahead? Because I know I've spoke way too long. So thank you everyone for listening, by the way. And please go ahead now.
Yeah, thank you for that, Melanie. I do want to be brief so that we can allow others to speak. But yeah, I just want to say I totally agree with everything so far that I've heard from both yourself and also from Sherry. So yeah, I definitely like this community that you've put on together. And I remember in March when you first put it on, right away, I'm like, okay, I got to be there. And there were two reasons. So number one, I knew how big potentially a community can grow if you align like-minded, positive people supporting one another and sharing what they want, what they're good at, and how they can benefit others and impact others. That is leading into the second reason, was I wanted to use my experience and knowledge that I had acquired over decades to help impact other people, right? So, and I do have a wealth of knowledge that can help people, with their situation, regardless of their situation, regardless of their goals. I like to hear the stories and hear, Sherry, actually, this is very interesting because yes, I have been well versed in the field of finance. I started at the age of 10, learning every book, article, magazine to do with investing, finance, stock market. And I guess you do anything at the age of 10 as a hobby. But I slowly got good at it. And I realized anyone can learn, but they don't push this, like Melanie said, in the traditional school system, like a class called Money 101. And I started to be kind of like the black sheep of the system, just learning what I wanted to learn, not what I was told to learn. And naturally, I started to do stocks when I was 10, fired my financial advisor when I was 15 years old, and ended up winning first place in the world in a global stock trading competition at the age of 21. So it all started with anyone can do it. I'm nothing special. It's just I spent time at it and realized my goal was always the same as I did in sports, as I did in learning, just get 1% better each time, and it'll add up. It actually compounds to 3,700% better each year if you just get 1% better each day. So anyone can do it. It's just about starting to learn. And I've actually learned a lot about trading, a lot about real estate, a lot about business. And I always wanted to create a fourth and final pillar, maybe not final, but my favorite one, which is kind of like goes leading back to my why in making impact on not just others locally in my community, but globally that are struggling. And I know how to end a lot of unnecessary suffering for a lot of people. So I've never been a good communicator back in the day. So I knew that holding myself back, I would be costing a lot of people by not sharing what I've learned and not helping other people avoid learning unnecessarily the hard way, what I already did. So I made every mistake you can think of when it comes to trading and real estate, Okay, let's just lay that out there. So I do know also how to do successfully. So what I want to do is also get now, instead of waiting until I have a much larger success and then go into philanthropy, I would actually be really interested to discuss with Sherry about setting up something now so that, you know, we can get this, like your story where you're impacting locally people. While you were saying it, I didn't see it as a small thing because I pictured 1,000 Sherrys doing the same thing. And all they need is a model, which is you, and a business model, like a franchise type of model. And that can explode with growth, whether it be a membership structure or anything like that. People can contribute financially to a cause rather than just do donations, turning it into a business that can grow. And you know, we have such great entrepreneurs on this call. We always come up with ideas. Like last few weeks we've been talking about starting a fund, and we even said the division of the fund would have a philanthropy fund of which we would compound and put portions of towards impacting people every year. We also even threw around ideas of tokenizing this, and you know, just to get the word out there faster. But anyway, if people eat, they're more likely to share it even faster. So having a charging method where you actually have a fee to have a franchise, that can actually help then advertise even further. And these days, it's not that expensive to get attention. Like there's influencers, there's online advertising, there's ways to get the words out there. You just have to start it. And what you've done is you've already done that. So I would love to work with you and talk more about that down the road. I ended up doing quite a bit of real estate. I bought 100 units in a single year. It turned out to be the #1 performing market in North America, just based on researching the cities. Yeah, and so I was involved with some networking events in the Lower Mainland here in Vancouver, where everyone would pay a couple $100 each month to attend the room full of action takers. And you know, people would actually be buying between 5 units to 5,000 units in the room. I was average. And, you know, there were billionaires there buying all over North America. But I would be then coming back after several years, educating them about how I picked the #1 performing city out of all the ones that they picked. So definitely, it's a wealth of knowledge. I'm not getting too boring or into the details, but I've done a lot of trading, a lot of real estate, and all types of real estate deals. So I can definitely see also the economy, the big picture, what's happening. I've predicted the recessions before they happened a year in advance, both in 2007 and in 2018. So I saw them coming. I knew what warning signs to look out for. And my journey now, I want to help people not just protect themselves, but prosper during the coming storm economically that we're about to enter. And I don't want to scare people. I want to tell them when things move in volatility, there's always opportunity. And I teach people how to profit regardless of market conditions, whether stocks or real estate or the economy goes up or down, you can profit in both directions. And money is not even lost during a depression. It's merely transferred to a handful of individuals and those that are in the knowledge of how to shuffle around their pre-positioning their money so that they can not just survive, weather the storm, but thrive during it. So I do look forward to you know, sharing some of my secrets in the coming weeks with you guys. But yeah, definitely reach out to me. I'll pop in here my contact info. It's robertpaddock.com, and you can schedule with me an hour for sure. We can talk about swapping around some ideas. Definitely, because I would like to see you cloned, so to speak, a million times. And anything I
Awesome.
can
Thank
do to
you
help
so
with that
much.
regard, I would be, you know, fill my heart for sure, because this is something I've been aiming to do down the road. Was looking at affordable housing and stuff, but it's nice to see someone that's actually doing it already. And I would like to have that on the move, you know, sooner rather than later. So that's definitely great. So yeah, you know, I love the fact that you said, what's holding you back, right, and Melany? So what's holding me back? So I should start getting my act together and start putting my fund together and helping grow others as much as possible. But I love these communications that we're having, because you just talk a little bit about yourself, someone else talks a little bit about themselves, and you realize how much you have in common. And imagine this mastermind, how big it'll get that Melany's put together, where 1 + 1 is 11. You get 10 times more done together. You need to leverage other people's success, skills, resources, and yeah, you can do a lot more as a teamwork. So, but I wanna, yeah, Think and Grow Rich. It's all in mindset, right?
Book. It talks about mastermind principles in this book, and there's actually a story called, if anyone wants to Google it tonight, it's actually a story put on by Bob Proctor. A hurricane had struck a city, and they raised, I believe it was $3 million in 3 days. So if they could raise $3 million in 3 days amongst a group of people for one thing, they could do it for everything. And that was the premise of the type of group that I wanted to create here, was that we want to build big businesses with people. We want to build big, and we want to have big dreams and want to support one another. It's kind of like Shark Tank, but instead of us being sharks, we're actually like dolphins. It's a good analogy because we're definitely going after things together instead of just being the shark that want to just eat the fish. And having a model like this is actually more sustainable. And if anyone want to speak to this, I'd love it if you could. But having a business model like this is much more sustainable than just fighting things on your own, no matter what kind of business you're in or what kind of project that you're in, because we wouldn't be anywhere without connections or referrals. And that's what this whole thing is about, is connections and referrals and giving back and lending out a hand, and not having just a self-serving platform, but a platform that is more collaborative, takes more of a collaborative approach, a we approach to business. Like, because when we go through our lives and we're like, oh, I just met this awesome person in West Vancouver who has a reality TV show and is connected with celebrities. And I'm thinking, wow, he's really amazing. He did this project. I'm thinking to myself, how can I serve him? And I even said to you, what can I do for you and how can I be of service? Right? And like, that's what it is what can I do for you and how can I be of service? Because even Anthony Robbins says, and many other coaches, the more you can give back to help others. And I always offer this as a gift to everybody on here. If you like the YouTube channel that we created, I can help you create one, and it can literally simultaneously talk to our YouTube channel online so that we can have that greater community, because that's what a lot of people do online and why they're so successful. And they also use ClickFunnels too, but I'm not going to get into that tonight because that's just way too much ground to cover. I know Stephen has had his hand up for a while. So Stephen, did you want to go ahead? I'm just going to make sure you're unmuted.
Yeah, it's actually just a general comment as well on the concept of the downtown east side. And I guess I have some of the contacts in the real estate side and the mortgage side that I'd like to explore further with you, Sherry. But also, when you're looking at the researching of making a community, did you find that the European had a bit more of a holistic approach compared to the North American ones? And how has that impacted what you're trying to search for and what are you trying to go after?
Yeah, I get why you may say that because of maybe more cultural kind of idea. One of my heroes is Majora Carter from the Bronx, and what she did from a environmental perspective and a social perspective, and how she completely turned her neighborhood around. And another one is James Rouse from Colombia, who created this community called Columbia, and what he did back in the 60s for racism and giving equal rights back in the 60s. So the people that stand out to me are actually more North American than European. There's the odd example I know of a more of a community collective. The name's escaping me right now, where they have, I'll be happy to share it. I can think about it right now. But it's all community. So in the boroughs, they call them, of London, there is some community social enterprises where they come together as a social enterprise collective and have created beautiful communities out of that. But most of them are from North America that I have found that have been really impactful for me to follow their models in how they've changed communities from a as you were saying, Melanie, collaborative perspective and a community perspective, as opposed to a gentrification model where we just kick out poor people and jack up prices for developers' own benefit. So, yeah.
So it really sounds more like somebody came up with the bigger vision and collected the people around them. So it didn't matter
and
what
said,
it was.
hey, I got an idea. Let's do this. And that's what I've found. I have about 30 to 40 different community partners. I don't know, they that are wanting to partner in this project. And then that's what actually one of the challenges is. So many people in the downtown east side are so siloed. They have their own agendas. They're all very good intentioned people and contribute to this community. But this idea of like, I want to do it my way doesn't really work. And so one of the things Steadfast is doing is trying to get these nonprofits to start to work together. That's one of our, we're going to hire someone that's all they do. They're a community family anti-poverty director, and they just go out and they just create the community amongst the large nonprofits already existing. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's really, really good. And you know what, the more kind of, I always say, does my vibe with your tribe? Does my vibe with your tribe? Because,
that's great. I like that.
Yeah, because you know what, this is how movement happens. And it's so interesting because I connected with a woman named Jay who was supposed to be on here tonight. And she has a huge network and actually is quite a big connector as well. She was with her children on a slide, had an injury, so she can't be with us this evening, but she'll hopefully be able to come on next week on Thursday. And any previous shows that we record, we will actually be having on our YouTube channel. And this is a beautiful thing, so that if people miss it, it's recorded. They can watch all the previous recordings on YouTube, and I can send out the link for that. But basically, Digital Eagle has a YouTube, and the whole premise behind Digital Eagle is just that we fly together. So we're a group that literally is flying together through these challenging times, and we're just like the eagles. We got to stay strong and stand in our beliefs and not falter from those. So thank you to everyone that came on here tonight. What I will do is just ask if there's anyone else that would like to go ahead and open up or share or say anything, because I know that people have other things that they have to get through. This evening, I see Caleb, I don't know if that was an old hand.
I can add something to that. So I have another saying: the size of your network is directly proportional to the size of your net worth. And so network and net worth are one and the same, in my opinion. So this is great to be growing a community like this. And it's interesting what you said about merging business models or visions of different nonprofits, because I have ideas for how to glue them together. And actually, so does Caleb. I know so does Patrice. So do a number of people on this call. You know, Melanie always talks about a world change coin, where we tokenize a fund, central, like think of it as a central bank of change, and all the other little funds and nonprofits together distribute those funds. And there's some kind of a hierarchy that kind of keeps people in they can be within their own guidelines what they want to do, but overall vision is everyone moving forward together. Then you can move mountains. And you know, that would be interesting, because you can actually have everyone on the same page growing. Like you know, the fund, why would people be attracted to it, is if you had, Melanie, the fastest growing fund, right? So that's where I may come in to play a role to help with that. I know Caleb has a good way to do that, and others. So you know, if you can show them that, you know, what's the number one thing nonprofits look for is fundraising, right? So that's one theme they all have in common, regardless of their cause. So now if you show that Melanie is the, what do we call it? TEDx or the guru or the master fundraiser, they're going to go with that direction, right? So now what we see is the funds do not necessarily have to be raised from the outside, which Melany is excellent at, but also from the inside, internally, whatever is there on the table. There is a chance that we have some skilled people here, including myself, that can help grow that even faster than new contributions are coming in, to the point where it'll hit a critical mass where you no longer need to raise any more money. Okay. But then who knows, maybe there'll be compounded larger amounts of people jumping on board the cause as they see the change and impact that it's causing. And you become the nonprofits of nonprofits, so to speak. So, but that's something that we can discuss for sure too.
Yeah, it's almost like one of the 7 wonders of the world, not to mention that compounding interest is one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah, it's the 8th one. It's the 8th one, is Albert Einstein said, is the 8th wonder of the world, compound interest. It's a force not to be reckoned with. I remember sitting out through all of high school on the calculators, drawing compound interest out to show people, do you believe these numbers? Why are they not talking about this in class? There was one day that they talked about compound interest in grade 10 and that, or grade 11. They only talked about it for one day. It looked like very complicated with X's and Y's. I was like, what the heck? Even though I spent all my days looking at compound interest, to the point where I decided not to go to university because I was already day trading in high school. In fact, they voted me most likely to be a billionaire in the yearbook, even though I didn't have friends in high school. I also won a math contest, not one, but I was in the top 4% in Canada for these math contests that usually the top students took. And yet my grades struggled in math. I wasn't keen on trying hard. I wanted to work on just myself and my trading account. And I didn't worry about what people said when they're asking, what school are you applying to? I'm like, I don't know yet. But yeah, success is definitely helping as many other people as possible first. And this community is all about win-win-win. So yeah, I know Melany wants to add to that.
Yeah, you know what? It's actually, I'm only going to ever be successful if I make other people successful that I work with. But also, like, if you go on to any of the stuff that I've done previously, every project I've ever done has been out of passion, more so for than the money. But then while I was in my passions, maybe 1 or 2 times I got lucky with being in the right place at the right time with the right people. And I feel truly blessed that I've been gifted to be able to work for some of these large corporations, because it taught me everything that I know. And, you know, like, one thing I want to do for this community as time goes on is I do want to create a charity for it, where any money that is made through this corporation or through this company, if you will, I want to be able to give 10% back to a charity. And I think kids really need it more than most, and of course animals and the environment, because kids are innocent souls coming into this life. Animals are creatures that are just, you know, that we have to take care of those animals, and also the planet. And I mean, even adults need help for sure. So we can't definitely turn anyone away really from being helped. So that's why I was thinking maybe having a charity for each category. But one thing I wanted to do is actually do reality charity, which is basically we actually are on the scenes making a direct impact. I have never done well with true academics, to be honest. I'm a C average student. I'm okay to admit that. My only thing that's ever brought me to success in my life is I just take action. I just see something I want and I just go for it, and I don't let anything stop me. And it's like, it's something I can't describe to you. It's just like this fire in my belly. It's like if I see a dream or a vision and I'm like, I gotta go for this, like it's like a C-type goal. Bob Proctor calls it a C-type goal. He says, go after what you want, write it down on a card, make sure that you look at that card 3 or 4 times a day, keep it in your wallet, make it your why, put it bring it where, take it everywhere with you. So I'm a firm believer of no past talk, only future self-talk, and anything else in between is shelf talk. This is a quote that I came up with last year, because I think a lot of us can be victims of the past. Don't ever let your current circumstances determine your outcome. So everything that we're going through right now and the challenges that we're going through and the challenges that we're facing, having a place like this where we can hash that stuff out in a calm way, especially if it's related to business or related to wanting to accomplish things in our lives, and keeping a positive mindset and syncing with other people who are thinking the same way as you and that have that positive mindset and that want that change and that want that inspiration. Those are the people that that make things happen in this life. So surrounding yourself with the movers, the shakers, the action takers, and the people that are making a difference. Even I think it was Denzel Washington that I was listening to the other day, his speech about making a difference. It was really inspiring to me because I always want to be seen like the legacy that I want to leave, and hopefully I'll leave this planet 120. We're working on those carbon energy plants so that we can make sure we can have that sustainability so that we're all breathing fresh, clean air and that we can make that impact. But I want to be known as somebody that made a difference. If I want to be known as somebody that was raising money for a project, let it be sustainable real estate, social impact projects. Let it be, raising money for hemp projects. Let it be for organic farms, energy projects that are helping to impact the air that we breathe, farm projects helping impact the food that we eat. And just people and their mindset, because if we can shift the mindset, that greater gift is the consciousness that we will shift. And that's it. And just keeping it on positive vibes. So thank you again for everyone for coming on. I'm going to stop this recording and then we can go into more of a casual social chat. So just gonna stop the recording now. So thank you again.